The Stars That Fell from the Sky, a short story by Paul McCann. Mick had just finished evening shift at the hospital and he was on his way home. The streets were deserted and this emptiness that he felt inside about the woman who had died earlier on that evening on the shift in the hospital. He felt kind of happy for her as she'd been suffering a lot of pain for a long time, and now he realised that she was finally at peace. He was trying to work out what it was all about as he was driving along the streets, and he saw a homeless man sitting there on the sidewalk, and he pulled over to the curb and he threw out some spare change and he shouted, "Here, get yourself some food." He drove off in a hurry. It's not smart to hang around too long at night in certain parts of the town. A few moments later, a car sped out from a side street right in front of him. It fish-tailed, and the driver had a difficult job keeping control of the vehicle. Mick thought it might be a good idea to take some time out, and so he pulled over into a petrol station to get some petrol. As he stood there, filling up the car, he was able to see all of the events that was taking place on the street. He watched as the police car with the siren going gave chase to the speeding car. The siren sounded a bit like a scalded cat, and the car on the run was burning rubber as it was turning back and around in an effort to get away from the police roadblock. The chase soon came to an end when a number of other police cars emerged, cutting off all exit points, blocking the road completely. And the offers came from the police with their weapons drawn. "Hands in the air! And come out of the vehicle!" And soon the offender had nowhere to run and he gave himself up. Mick walked into the shop and he paid for his fuel. And as he looked at the shop assistant, he could hardly believe his eyes. It was John Lennon, standing there behind the counter. "Nice to see you. Good morning, sir," he said to Mick. "Morning? Morning, did you say?" Suddenly, this woman came walking towards him, another customer. He couldn't believe his eyes as she approached. She was young, but half bent over with osteoporosis. Mick noticed that she had very, very long arms and that her hands almost touched the floor, and her fingers were all twisted. She wore a smile as she spoke to Mick. "Soon you will see what you cannot deny." "What do you mean?" Mick replied. "You're kidding me." No, it's not a joke, Mick. Do you remember the last thing you were listening to on the radio before the accident? Huh? The last thing? He thought for a moment and he said, "Actually, it was one of my favourite songs, Imagine by John Lennon." "Look over there, Mick," said one of the angels. Standing at the door of the shop at the petrol station, John Lennon was waving at Mick, and he shouted over, "Way to go, Mick. I'm glad you like my little song." The other angel asked Mick, "Did you have any favourite actors in your life, Mick?" And he replied, "Yeah, of course my two all favourite actors of all time were John Wayne and Marilyn Monroe." "Look over there, Mick." Beside the parked truck was John Wayne and Marilyn Monroe. Both of them waved over and shouted, "Thanks for liking our little movies." "Yeah, thanks, Mick." They asked if they could be here to see you, Mick. "Now come on. It's time to go." Mick looked into the angels' faces. "Time to go? Time to go? Where are we going?" One of the angels opened up the door of the police car and Mick got in with the two angels. As they drove off out of the petrol station into the street, a gate appeared in front of them. A signpost on the side of the road had the words, "Welcome to Paradise." And the car drove off through the gates and made its way along a long road bathed in bright sunlight. The end. Suddenly she changed her appearance. The back that was bent over now straightened up, and the fingers that were twisted were now normal looking, and the disfigured arms had adjusted themselves. Within a moment she became a beautiful looking woman. In fact, standing there right before Mick was Marilyn Monroe. She smiled and she said, "Looks aren't everything, they can be deceiving." Mick replied, "I can't believe what I just saw." "Didn't I say you can't deny what you see? Come up and see me sometime." With that, she turned and she walked out of the shop. Mick stood there like a statue, questioning what had just happened. And then he rushed out after her, but she was gone. As he was going to get back into the car, a truck pulled up at the petrol station. And a man got out of the truck. Mick stood back in awe. He couldn't believe his eyes. But then he remembered what Marilyn Monroe had said, because the truck driver was the Duke, none other than John Wayne himself, and he walked towards the door of the shop. Mick shouted out, Hey, John, what you hauling there?" The trucker looked over at Mick and closely checked him out. "Howdy, partner. Just some wild horses," came the reply. Mick was just about to go over and speak to John when a police car came into the service station and pulled up right beside Mick. 2 police officers got out and walked over towards Mick. "Come with us, please, sir." "What have I done?" Mick replied. In the dark sky, a bright light shone down, and the 2 officers soon transformed themselves into celestial beings. Now, the 2 angels, standing there beside Mick, said, "We know what's been going on." "What has been going on?" said Mick. One of the angels smiled and he said, "Mick, you're on your way home from work, do you remember? And you were involved in a car accident." "Aye, you must be joking. You must be mistaken. I saw a car out of control being chased by the police car. You've got it all wrong there." "The car you saw being chased by the police car had just a few minutes earlier collided with your car," said one of the angels. And the other angel continued, "And as a result, your car had ran into the path of a truck that was unable to stop. And you were killed, Mick, in the collision."